John Stockton has spent his entire career waiting for this chance. Over the past 2 weeks, he has seized the moment like few others in NBA history. It was Stockton's shot that secured Utah's first ever trip to the finals, ending 17 years of frustration. But the euphoria over securing such an elusive goal was quickly dispelled in Chicago, where Michael Jordan's Bulls took a 2-game series lead, as destiny seemed to dictate that a 5th title would soon be theirs. Then last Sunday night, with Jordan on the brink of giving Chicago a nearly insurmountable 3-1 advantage in the finals, Stockton stepped into Utah's huddle and declared that there must be a way to win the game. Stockton simply took over the game's final 2.5 minutes. His enormous 3 wrested momentum away from the Bulls, cutting their lead to 2. In rapid succession, Stockton stole the ball from the game's greatest player. And then, with Utah down by a point, Stockton rebounded Jordan's miss and found Karl Malone with a pass that will never be forgotten. To be sure, there were other heroes on a night when Utah drew even in the finals, but on this one Sunday in June, John Stockton refused to let his team lose, and in the process made it clear that the Jazz are a genuine threat to Chicago's 5th title plans. The finals are tied. Game 5 is next.
Well, as we wind down in Game 5 and head to Game 6 in Chicago, guys, many questions concerning this particular group of Chicago Bulls. Win or lose this series, and for Chicago, it's their 5th finals appearance of the past 7 seasons.
Well, no matter what happens tonight, Friday, or Saturday, this is still a championship caliber team. And so why change anything? I don't think there's any question that Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, Phil Jackson will be back. However, Dennis Rodman will not be.
If your motivation is money, you break it up now and you start looking. If your motivation is to keep something special going, let them play as long as they want. They're all willing to play on 1-year contracts. And I just think that this team, with the exception of Dennis Rodman, will be back primarily intact next year.
And as the 4th quarter gets underway, Brian Williams called for the foul. But still many questions concerning Phil Jackson, who has made it clear that he would accept a 1-year deal once again, although there's been so much speculation about that, and Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen.
Well, I think Phil Jackson wants to ride it out as long as Michael Jordan primarily is part of the Bulls, and as long as Jordan and Jackson are there, that means Scottie Pippen will be there. There's only one other coaching job open, that's the Vancouver Grizzlies, who supposedly have an offer out to Phil. I don't see him taking that under any conditions. I see him taking a year off before he does that. He'll be back in Chicago.
But still, there is the question concerning Michael Jordan. Could he be playing his final games as a member of the Chicago Bulls? We're talking win or lose here. Brian Williams tying it up with Antoine Carr. The Jazz up 74-67.
This man, Michael Jordan, is still the best player in basketball. He's on top of his game. He is so sick right now. He'd love to be lying down in a bed somewhere, and he's still playing well, although had the very quiet 3rd quarter.
Chicago's missed 7 of their last 8 shot attempts. Reach-in foul charged to Greg Foster. The Chicago Bulls have been in a 2-2 position in the NBA Finals just once during their previous 4 title runs. That was back in '92 against Portland. And they went out to beat the Blazers 4 games to 2. That was their second of 4 titles. It is 2-2 right now in this game number 5 as Michael Jordan cuts it to a 5-point Jazz lead. Game 6 coming up in Chicago on Friday here on NBC starting 9 o'clock Eastern. Game 7, if necessary, in Chicago on Sunday night. Chris Barnes back on the floor. Had some good moments. Not there, though. Coming up short.
But he's willing to take shots. And right now, some of these guys from Utah are tightening up a bit. How long are you going to go with Karl Malone on the bench? He's looking up at Jerry Sloan and saying, put me in there, coach.
Malone playing with 4 fouls. So he's been sitting here at the start of the 4th quarter. Antoine Carr. And here is Chris Mars.
and that'll buy Karl Malone another 30 seconds or another minute of rest. Time and score will dictate when Karl Malone comes back in.
Chris Morris with 11 points off the bench. Jordan, yes, the Jazz 77 and the Bulls 71 with 2 minutes gone by in the 4th quarter.
And you're talking about him leaving, Marvin, not playing anymore? He's having the time of his life out there.
Well, we talked about that with him the other day, and I said, could you actually sit out next year? He claimed he could. Whether he's just positioning, we don't know. Jordan with the rebound. Jordan pops it down to Kukoc. Kukoc for 3. Yes.
Well, of course, this is not as much fun as baseball. No way.
The Jazz leading by 3.
Well, Tony Kukoc might as well only take 3-point shots. That's all he's made in the last 2 games for Chicago.
Carl's pass broken up. And Pippen able to come up with it on the deflection. Jordan fires for 3. Yes. And he's tied the game at 77. And he did it in casual form.
Poise, confidence, discipline, the exchange between Pippen and Jordan. Once, twice, right back. You do it, big guy. Pump fake, freezes the defense. The jumper, net. Then he staggers back to the bench, near exhaustion, ready to fall over. He's got his team tied now. Where is that bench? He gets there and sits back, and they put the ice bag on his neck. He won't even take the Gatorade.
He doesn't want to waste any energy. No high fives, no lifting water to his mouth. He is exhausted.
A heroic performance by Michael Jordan. He has played 35 minutes. He has scored 30 points. And the game is tied at 77. Karl Malone is back. Here's John Stockton. Chicago can recapture the lead. Utah has led by as many as 16. The Bulls at one point led by 1. Russell on Jordan. Anderson cheating over. Shot clock at 7. Jordan shooting. Yes. Chicago 79 and Utah 77.
It was his burst of speed to get to the position that set it all up, and then he just outweighted Russell facial. Where's Karl Malone?
Ball played by Williams. Illegal defense for the first time against the Bulls.
Well, there's this cut across by Michael, getting open, wants to really drive, but not a good enough spacing by the rest of the Chicago Bulls, but just that little shake was able to get Brian Russell on his heels. Michael just laboring to get back to that defensive end, just trying to get to the finish line.
Brian Williams poked it away. Bulls have outscored the Jazz 12-5 in this 4th quarter. Jordan with 9 of those 12 points. Kukoc coming out to help on a double. Russell for 3. Brian Russell with his 3rd three-pointer, and Kerr and Stockton became entangled. They've had a very physical matchup these past couple of games.
John Stockton and Steve Kerr, as Kerr got his marching orders from Phil Jackson to be more physical. And that's very tough against the little John Stockton. All Kerr could do was take Stockton down.
And double technicals called on Stockton and Kerr. These 2 guys go back quite some time. John Stockton played at Gonzaga, had a terrific career. That's a reaching foul. Hugh Evans with the call on Hornacek. And Steve Kerr was recruited by Gonzaga. Went out to work out at Gonzaga against John Stockton. And changed his mind.
Well, Stockton,
Arizona, yes.
Stockton torched him there. Steve coming out of the Los Angeles area, Pacific Palisades. Then he gets up there on the recruiting tryout trip and was embarrassed.
Jordan for three. Kukoc able to hustle it down and fire.
The other nice shot, Tony Kukoc.
And then Kukoc deflected it out of bounds.
Chicago appearing to have the same problems they had in the fourth quarter of Game 4, relying so much on Michael Jordan when the other players get the opportunity, unable to deliver.
Stockton with the step to set it up for Hornacek. Ostertag with the rebound. And last touch by the Bulls. It will be Utah ball. We have 7 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. The Jazz up by 1.
Small front line for Chicago can get beaten on the offensive glass. Brian Williams, Jordan, and Pippen are going to have to do most of the rebounding.
And the foul on Kukoc. For the Bulls, their second team foul. The Jazz also have 2.
Kukoc gets caught here on this screen, and when he realizes he's dead, he just grabs on, tries to pull Hornacek down. Easy call. 2-shot foul for Hornacek, one of the great free throw shooters in the history of the NBA.
How about Ostertag? 14 rebounds, 7 on the offensive glass. And the Jazz now leading 81-79. There's Greg Ostertag in his second season from Kansas, a #1 draft pick. Last year made major strides this season. And this for Hornacek. Chicago with the ball, trailing by 2. Jordan trying to slow things down. You can see him motioning over to Kukoc. Jordan with the step and lost it. Brian Williams with the recovery. And another rebound for Greg Ostertag.
An unbelievable battle underneath the hoop, Mark. Guys are just flying, flailing away. Ostertag has been the best one tonight underneath the hoop.
Malone set the pick. Kerr trying to draw the foul. Williams broke up the pass. Shot clock at 3. Russell for 3. And Stockton able to reach for it. They get the new 24.
Ostertag continues to do damage to Chicago on the offensive glass, keeping balls alive.
Hornacek passed on the 3 and lost it. Here comes Pippen protecting the dribble, spinning his way, and fouled by Russell. Tonight we look back at Michael Jordan's highest scoring NBA Finals game. Was Game 4 of the '93 Final Series against the Phoenix Suns. Michael Jordan with 55 points, 21 of 37 from the field. The 55 tied Rick Barry for the second most points scored in a Finals. Elgin Baylor scored 61 against the Celtics for the Lakers back in '65. In recognition of this classic moment, the Miller Brewing Company will donate $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund. To check up on the condition of Michael Jordan, let's check in with Ahmad Rashad. Ahmad?
All right, thanks, Marv. I just spoke with Chip Traynor, the Bulls trainer, and Chip says Michael's just still fatigued, totally fatigued. He doesn't know how he continues to play, but as you watch him, he is struggling and still out there trying to give it his all. Let's go down to Jim Gray.
All right, thanks, Ahmad. During that timeout, Jerry Sloan told his team, I'm very happy with this type of effort. It's this type of effort that's going to win the game. Then he looked right at Greg Ostertag, and he told him, get ready for the ball in front of the rim. He says, it's coming to you because they're going to be double-teaming Karl Malone the rest of the way. Mark?
All right, thank you, Jim. And Scottie Pippen to the free throw line. He's 4 of 5 at the line. 5:57 remaining in the fourth quarter. And the Bulls are down by 2. What a follow-up to what took place here on Sunday night. The Jazz beat the Bulls in a dramatic finish, 78-73. Look at the Big Four, led by Michael Jordan. The game on Sunday, the second lowest scoring game in NBA Finals history, but it will go down as a classic by virtue of that finish. Utah scoring the game's final 9 points, and we have another dazzling